In the heart of the South China Sea, tensions are running high.
Chinese.
We're on board a Filipino civilian ship in waters claimed by both the Philippines and China. This is the front line of a high-stakes territorial dispute in one of the world's most vital shipping lanes, a maritime crossroads that carries a fifth of global trade. Chinese Coast Guard have just made contact over the radio asking what this ship is doing. Things are definitely getting a little bit more intense and there's more ships that are appearing over the horizon.
This is precisely what we've been wanting to tell, that China has been present in our seas.
In recent years, this has become increasingly common. A surge of Chinese ships here, sparking confrontation after confrontation.
It is a very big concern, not only for the Philippines, but for the rest of the free world.
While that standoff is playing out at sea, the United States war on Iran has unleashed an energy crisis here in Manila. Food prices are soaring and inflation is biting Filipino families hard.
It sparked frustration at their oldest ally. Many are wondering if they can still count on the United States.
Kaya sobrang laki ng naging epekto nung naging giyera ng nangyari sa ibang bansa.
On Foreign Correspondent, we look at the escalating struggle over the South China Sea and what's at stake in one of the world's most important waterways. On the Philippines island of Palawan, hundreds of military personnel are here, wargaming, preparing to repel a mock invasion.
Well, they're testing some pretty serious firepower.
This is part of Exercise Balikatan, one of the largest military drills ever held in Southeast Asia.
United States Army.
17,000 personnel are involved from 7 nations, including Canada, France and New Zealand, along with hundreds of Australians. Australia is deepening its defence ties with the Philippines.
And the Armed Forces of the Filipinos, most importantly. A counter-landing live fire exercises showcases our military capabilities.
Why is practicing this kind of scenario, quite important?
Oh, look, in an increasingly uncertain world, we all read the news. It's good to practice a little bit of, those types of serials, things that bring confidence to our partners.
More than 1,000 Japanese combat ground troops are taking part. In World War II, Japanese soldiers took the Philippines by force. Today, they're training to defend it. The United States has sent the largest contingent. They've been allies with the Philippines for 75 years.
Colonel, how crucial is this region in particular, would you say, for Asia-Pacific security?
I think it's critical because the country of the Philippines says it is, and they're interested in protecting their sovereignty. And we just are able to learn from them and train with them and best figure out ways that they can defend their sovereign territory.
This exercise, they're simulating an amphibious landing out on the water by an enemy force. We're just being led in closer to the positions of the Philippines and US militaries.
They're defending their territory from the beaches, firing at targets at sea. The enemy is unnamed. But there's only one nation they feel poses a threat here, and that's China.
The US is putting on a big show in these exercises. But at the same time, the commander of its Indo-Pacific forces has said that the US military doesn't have enough naval firepower to counter what he's described as an increasingly aggressive China.
Within the same week, in waters between the Philippines and Taiwan, China too is flexing with its own live fire exercises. China's navy is building ships much faster than the United States. In drills like these, they show off their credentials as the world's largest navy. Control over this area is crucial. The South China Sea contains some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, some of the richest fisheries, and is a lifeline for millions. Much of what the world buys and sells passes through this single stretch of water. Under international maritime law, the Philippines has a 370-kilometre exclusive economic zone. It calls this part the West Philippine Sea. That zone takes in the Scarborough Shoal and part of the Spratly Islands. But China claims almost all of this territory inside a boundary called the 9-dash line. A decade ago, a court in The Hague threw that claim out, but China ignored the ruling. Instead, it's built islands and military bases out of almost nothing on Mischief Reef and Subi Reef, bases that have become military outposts that extend the range of China's powerful reach. In Manila, I'm meeting with Rear Admiral J. Terriella from the Philippines Coast Guard. He's become a prominent voice, drawing the ire of China.
So this video of China Coast Guard pursuing one of our vessels because we are actually patrolling our exclusive economic zone in Bajo de Masinloc as well.
Around Scarborough Shoal, how common were these kind of confrontations taking place?
This is very common, especially if we are escorting Filipino fishermen.
He releases videos like this, Chinese vessels harassing and ramming Filipino government ships and civilian boats. Fishing crews have been blocked from their own waters.
You've been accused by China of spreading false narratives, of making baseless remarks and smearing Chinese leaders. What do you make of that?
You know, it's kind of funny. If the Chinese government thinks that I'm just posting lies and disinformation, that it is in accordance with international law, then they should have only ignored me, right? They are actually carrying out an information operation to counter the facts that we have. For us, there's no gray area here.
Why is this an important area for Filipinos?
Well, for the Philippines, this is very important, not just for our national identity as a nation. We are one of the largest archipelago in the world. The seafood that we eat, the seafood that we also bring to other countries, came up from the West Philippine Sea. The reason why we're fighting for this and we're standing for this, it's because all of this is legally justified.
It's early morning at Manila's main port. We're going to see ourselves how this conflict is playing out in the Spratly Islands.
For the next 6 days, this ship will be our home. We're sailing to and from Pagasa, the furthest point the Filipino flag flies from Manila, deep in the South China Sea. Yeah, Tim Swanston, ABC. Salamat po. Thank you, looking forward to it. Thank you.
As China pushes harder into these waters, Filipino civilian groups are pushing back. On board for this voyage are activists, youth groups, unions and local media.
Pang-apat na natin itong maglayag sa West Philippine Sea!
Rafaela David is a leader of this coalition called Atin Ito, or This Is Ours.
Normal na mga Pilipino ang nakakapaglayag sa West Philippine Sea. Kasi nga ang sabi natin, kung atin ang West Philippine Sea, dapat nandoon tayo. Tama ba? At ipapakita natin sa China na hindi tayo magpapatinag. Tuloy-tuloy tayo sa ating panata.
The term West Philippine Sea is a political term invented by Manila to stamp its ownership on it.
West Philippine Sea! Sino excited na pumunta sa Pagasa
Rafaela's talking to the volunteers, mostly young Filipinos.
Okay, we'll stick to this itinerary unless something extraordinary happens. Okay?
Rafaela's a veteran of these voyages. She's sailed through the South China Sea many times.
What brings you out into the middle of a contested ocean?
I suppose the simple answer is love of country and a sense of solidarity for our fellow Filipinos who are bearing the brunt of what China is doing.
We'd just like to announce
Soon enough, we're on China's radar.
we spotted a Chinese Coast Guard vessel 5 nautical miles away from our vessel.
Well, we're not even 12 hours out of Manila and already we've picked up a tail. A Chinese Coast Guard ship has appeared over the horizon and it's watching us closely.
We're 90 nautical miles away from Manila and 60 nautical miles away west of Mindoro. So definitely well within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. And yet, the Chinese Coast Guard appears to be escorting us within our own EEZ. To be honest, it feels like it's pretty early in our mission for them to show themselves.
Retired Rear Admiral Rommel Ong was once second in command of the Philippines Navy. He's seen this behaviour before.
Well, you have to look at China's grey zone approach as a coercive tactic. It's a manifestation of both economic and psychological warfare. It's designed to degrade our moral will to fight or the government's will to actually resist Chinese actions that may force government to give up our national interests purely for the reason that they want to de-escalate or to avoid conflict. Unless we are able to disrupt China's calculations, find a way to mitigate its escalation dominance, then we will be at the beck and call of Beijing as it wishes.
China's pressure is not just about control of the shipping lanes, islands and fish, but also enormous deposits of energy. Not far from where we're sailing is a spot called Reed Bank, where billions of barrels of oil and trillions of cubic feet of gas remain untapped. China has been blocking the Philippines from drilling here, and now with the world contemplating its energy future, it's an incredibly valued prize. As our boat begins to approach the shores of Pagasa, things intensify. Mobile phones on board are going off.
Could you tell me what that text message says?
It says that welcome to China.
Gives you your phone options for being in China.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You're in the Philippine water.
Inside, China makes contact.
以船所在海域属于中华人民共和国管辖海域，请通报活动意图和下一步动向。
There's 2 more Coast Guard vessels from China that seem to be approaching us. One is around 4 nautical miles earlier.
This is China Coast Guard. Your vessel is in the waters under the jurisdiction of China. Please report your intentions and next move.
In defiance, the captain ignores the demand and we push on. Finally, we arrive at Pagasa, still under the watchful eye of the Chinese Coast Guard on the horizon. The sun rises in paradise, illuminating the tiny and tranquil island of Pagasa, a speck of sand the Philippines uses to assert its place in the sea.
Morning. We're going around town. We've hitched a ride to have a look, but it feels a little bit redundant because Pagasa is a very small island. It takes only about an hour to walk around this town. There's only about 100 families or less than that actually live in this community.
The Philippines took possession of Pagasa in the 1970s. Internationally, it's known as Thitu Island. China believes it was forfeited to it by Japan at the end of World War II. It's also claimed by Taiwan and Vietnam. But to strengthen its own claim of sovereignty, Manila has built a settlement and subsidises Filipinos to live in it. China's response sits just offshore. A Navy warship, its Coast Guard and militia vessels are near. Local fisherman Joseph is taking us out on his boat.
Siguro po, pinalad na rin na tadhana po siguro ng Panginoon na makarating ako dito at makita ko rin po yung isla na ganito kaganda.
Joseph, how do you feel sitting out here on the water with these Chinese ships all around?
Kinakabahan po kasi nga po, hindi namin kabisado yung ng China, lalo mga barko.
He's limited from fishing too far from Pagasa's shores. As we're talking, we're interrupted by a noise from above.
Helicopter po yung China, sir. Nag-ano po, sir, bumbasan, nag-survey po pag may mga barko dyan po na nagpupunta dito. Lagi po siya nagpapalipad para gina-check po nila kung anong mga barko na nagpupunta dito sa Pagasa.
Could you ever see a time where these ships move in and there's war here on Pagasa?
Kung ano yun ng China tong barangay Pagasa, isang bala lang sir, lubog agad eh. Kaya siguro sana hindi namin mangyari. Ganun yung mga nababalitaan namin.
Joseph drops us near his home, where we meet his neighbour, Adelsa, a mother of 4. The government gives her discounted food. In exchange, she does odd jobs around the island.
Sa baba po, medyo mahirap ang trabaho. Dito po konti lang. Tapos, libre po subsidy. Yun.
In your time living here on Pagasa, what have you noticed change?
Noong 2016 po, nakarating ako. Wala pa po ako nakikitang barko dyan. Wala po. Ngayon po, nung bumalik pa kami din 2021, yan, mas siya ng parang, lalo silang dumadami ng paligid-aligid.
Do you feel like you're on a front line of a conflict living here?
Opo. Yun sa amin po, hindi na po talaga matanggal yun sa amin. Yung kaba, takot, siyempre, lapit lang po sa amin yung China. Kung papasabogin kami dito, halos lahat kami po ubos.
But for Filipinos, it's not just China's actions that are causing them pain. It's also their oldest ally, the United States. Back on the mainland, I've come to the nation's capital to see how the United States war on Iran is playing out here. The Philippines gets most of its fuel from abroad, so when US-led strikes on Iran disrupted trade through the Strait of Hormuz, supplies here were choked. The government declared a national energy emergency. Prices have soared and inflation has taken hold. For millions of Filipinos, getting around has become increasingly costly.
Magandang gabi po.
Leaving jeepney drivers like Himalito frustrated at the United States.
Kaya sobrang laki ng naging epekto ng naging gera ng nangyari sa ibang bansa. Siyempre, sobrang nagagalit rin po kasi imbis na dapat magtutuloy-tuloy lang magandang buhay, maayos na buhay, mas lalo tayong pinapahirapan ng dahil sa gera.
How have you found the price of fuel over the last few months?
Sobrang hirap po dahil sa sobrang taas ng naging diesel na umaabot ng 98 pesos. Kasi po nung sobrang nagtaas ang gasolina, syempre hindi naman po natin masasabi na may mauwi pa tayo sa pamilya. Sobrang hirap din po ng naging kalagayan namin kasi syempre hindi ka naman po pwedeng umuwi nang wala kayong makakain. Kaya kailangan mas dumoble ang kayod para sa pamilya.
US President Donald Trump's visit to China in May stoked fears in Southeast Asia over the United States' reliability in the region.
It's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend.
There are concerns Donald Trump could give key concessions in the South China Sea to gain something in return.
The relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before.
And that Southeast Asian nations, like the Philippines, will be left out in the cold. In Beijing, one man was watching this meeting very closely. Victor Gao, a former Chinese diplomat who once served as an interpreter for paramount leader Deng Xiaoping.
Victor Gao, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Do you believe that President Trump still wants the United States to, say, counter China's increasing influence in the South China Sea?
I think if the United States wants to confront any country now in the world, it's not China. Because they know by confronting China, it is not serving the fundamental interest of the American people. Let me tell you, if China and the United States have a war between them, they will not only destroy themselves, they will cause Armageddon. Mankind will be wiped out.
What is the basis of China's claims in the South China Sea?
The boundary of the Philippines was clearly defined in the 1898 treaty between the United States and Spain after the United States defeated Spain. We believe we are on the right side of history. Go back to August 1945. Now do you know what happened after Japan unconditionally surrendered? Whatever that belonged to the Philippines was taken back by General MacArthur and the US military. Whatever General MacArthur and the United States Army did not take over from Japanese occupation in 1945 was returned to China. Do you really want to second guess how much sacrifice China's made in the defeat of Japanese fascism?
Why then, a decade ago at The Hague, did it award maritime rights to the Philippines and uphold its exclusive economic zone?
If the Philippines believe they can drag China into any arbitration committee without China's consent, they do not know what they are doing.
China is accused of grey zone tactics in the South China Sea. What do you make of that claim?
If you compare China and the Philippines, if China wants to really apply pressure on the Philippines, China will not use water cannon. Come on, you know this better than I do.
For residents of, say, Pagasa or Fitu Island, they say they feel fearful of attack. What do you make of those claims?
If you want to claim safety or sanity on Chinese land that you illegally occupy, you will never be safe because they will be taken over.
Sorry, are you suggesting that China will take over Pagasa in the future?
Let me say that again in very explicit terms. China will defend every inch of land which belongs to China, and China, in my view, will never recognize any claim of the Philippines. Therefore, go back to where you belong to and you will be absolutely safe.
Across town, I've come to the country's main defence headquarters. The man in charge of protecting the Philippines is Defence Secretary Gilberto Teodoro.
Is China challenging your territorial integrity?
Oh, definitely. That's the world knows that it is illegally occupying areas which it has no right to occupy, not only in the Philippine domain but also in the high seas. Its 9-dash line is the biggest threat to regional stability and peace.
Some in China would say that their behaviour in the South China Sea is even somewhat merciful, that they only water cannon, for example.
It's kind of perverse to say that water cannoning in an area where you're not supposed to be is merciful, and only a masochist would accept that.
How much of a concern is it to you that China has built artificial islands within the Philippines' maritime territory?
It is a very big concern, not only for the Philippines, but for the rest of the free world, because these are sea lanes which are not supposed to be the subject of any such fortifications.
You, of course, say that the United States is a really important partner, but you're also acknowledging that there is this growing coalition of partners. How important is it to you to grow the number of countries who would support the Philippines?
It is extremely important, and it is, in fact, one of my major responsibilities to grow this coalition into a sustainable coalition. Appeasement does not work. Every country worth its salt must not give in to appeasement. That's why it's important for each and every like-minded country to stand up now, to build up your resilience now.
Among these prized islands and reefs, this contest threatens to boil over at a time when the world is focused elsewhere.
We know that we should not be dependent on the United States, especially when they have a president like this, and we should find reliable partners who are able to help us in defending the international rules-based order.
In this contest, what does victory look like for the Philippines?
For me and many of our volunteers, victory is when Filipinos are able to go out in the West Philippine Sea and China is not able to stop us. That is already us exercising our sovereign rights. My biggest fear is when Filipinos feel like it's hopeless. And that's the whole point of the mission.